The America's Got Talent stage had seen thousands of dreams, but tonight felt different. The lights dimmed softly, casting a golden glow across the massive theater. The audience buzzed with curiosity as the host announced the next contestant. No flashy intro, no dramatic music, just a name and a pause. From the side of the stage, a small boy slowly stepped forward. He looked fragile against the enormous backdrop of the AGT logo. His clothes were clean but worn, clearly not chosen for style but for necessity. His shoes were slightly scuffed, and his hands trembled as he held a guitar that seemed almost too big for his thin frame. He took a deep breath, eyes scanning the audience, thousands of strangers staring back at him. This was the biggest stage he had ever seen. The boy stopped at the center mark. For a moment he didn't move. The silence in the room grew heavy. Some audience members leaned forward, sensing something unspoken. Others exchanged quiet glances. There was something about this child, something raw, something real. Simon Cowell studied him carefully. "Hello," Simon said gently, breaking the silence. "What's your name?" The boy swallowed hard before answering. His voice was soft, almost fragile. He introduced himself politely, with the kind of respect that comes from growing up too fast. "And how old are you?" Simon asked. "I'm 13, the boy replied. A murmur rippled through the audience. 13, so young. Yet his eyes carried a weight that didn't match his age. Simon leaned forward. "Is your family here with you tonight?" The question hung in the air. The boy hesitated. His fingers tightened around the neck of his guitar. He shook his head slowly. I don't have parents," he said quietly. "I live in an orphanage." The room went still. Even the judges seemed caught off guard. The usual smiles faded. The audience, moments ago buzzing with excitement, fell into complete silence. Somewhere in the crowd, someone sniffled. Simon's expression changed instantly. "Oh," he said softly. "How long have you been there?" "Since I was very little," the boy replied. "I don't remember my mother. My father, he passed away when I was young. He didn't say it for sympathy. He said it as a fact of life, something he had accepted long ago." The camera cut to the audience. Faces were already emotional. Parents hugged their children tighter. Some people shook their heads in disbelief. A child with no parents, standing alone on one of the biggest stages in the world. "How did you get into music?" another judge asked gently. The boy's eyes lit up just a little. "In the orphanage, music room was the only place that felt warm," he said. "When I sing, I don't feel alone anymore." Those words hit hard. Simon looked down for a moment, then back up at the boy. "What does this moment mean to you?" he asked. The boy took a deep breath. His voice trembled, not from fear, but from emotion. "This is my dream," he said. "If I win, I want to help my orphanage, and I want to prove that even someone with nothing can still have a voice." The audience couldn't hold it anymore. Applause broke out, not loud, not wild, but full of respect. Real applause, the kind that comes from the heart. Simon nodded slowly, visibly moved. "You know," Simon said, "this stage can be terrifying, but you're standing here with incredible courage." The boy nodded, eyes glistening. "What are you going to sing for us today?" Simon asked. The boy glanced down at his guitar, then back up. "Hotel California," he said. A wave of surprise swept through the room. "Hotel California?" Simon repeated, raising an eyebrow. It wasn't a song people expected from a child. It was complex, emotional, legendary. "That's a big song," Simon said carefully. The boy nodded again. "Yes, sir." There was no arrogance in his voice, only determination. Simon leaned back in his chair. "Whenever you're ready." The lights softened further. The audience leaned in. The judges sat quietly, unsure of what was about to happen. The boy adjusted the strap of his guitar. His hands shook slightly, but he closed his eyes and took one final breath. This wasn't just a performance. This was his life. This was every lonely night in the orphanage. Every moment he felt forgotten. Every time music was the only thing that listened. As his fingers hovered over the strings, the entire theater seemed to hold its breath. And just before he played the first note, The camera caught Simon Cowell, watching closely, unknowingly seconds away from a moment that would change everything. "If you want, next I can." The theater was so quiet you could hear the soft hum of the stage lights. Thousands of eyes were fixed on the small boy standing alone under the spotlight. His fingers rested gently on the guitar strings, trembling just enough to show he was human, just enough to show how much this moment meant. He took one slow breath. Then he played the first note. A soft, haunting strum echoed through the hall. Not rushed, not forced, just calm and controlled. The opening chords of Hotel California filled the room, instantly recognizable, yet somehow different, slower, sadder, more intimate. The audience leaned in. When the boy began to sing, time seemed to stop. His voice was low, rich, and unexpectedly mature, carrying a depth that no one could have predicted from someone so young. There was a quiet pain in his tone, a loneliness that didn't sound practiced. It sounded lived. On a dark desert highway. The first lyric floated through the air like a whisper from another world. The judges exchanged quick glances. This was not a child mimicking a famous song. This was a child telling his own story through it. Simon Cowell's posture changed. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk, eyes locked on the boy. His usual guarded expression softened. As the boy continued, his voice grew stronger, but never loud. Every word was careful, deliberate, full of meaning. The guitar blended perfectly with his vocals, steady and emotional, like a heartbeat keeping him grounded. The camera swept across the audience. Some people had their hands over their mouths. Others blinked rapidly, fighting tears. No one spoke. No one moved. The entire room was held captive by a voice that carried years of silent struggle. There she stood in the doorway. With every verse, the emotion deepened. The boy closed his eyes as he sang, as if the stage around him had disappeared. In that moment, he wasn't on America's Got Talent. He was back in the orphanage, back in the quiet nights, back in the moments when music was the only thing that stayed. His voice cracked slightly on one note, not a mistake but a wound briefly exposed. Instead of breaking the performance, it made it even more real. The audience felt it. Simon felt it. Simon's eyes began to shine. He tried to blink it away. He looked down at the table for a moment, then back up. But the tears were already there. The boy reached the chorus. "Welcome to the Hotel California." The sound filled the theater completely. His voice soared now, powerful but controlled, wrapped in emotion. It was haunting, beautiful, impossible to ignore. The audience started to react, not with applause, but with emotion. Some people nodded slowly, as if the song was speaking directly to them. Others pressed their hands to their hearts. One of the judges whispered, "Oh my God." The boy stood taller as the song continued. The fear he walked in with had transformed into confidence, not confidence born of ego but of truth. This was his story, his moment. As he sang the second verse, his fingers moved effortlessly across the strings. No hesitation, no panic, only focus. The lights subtly shifted, bathing the stage in warm gold and deep shadows, matching the mood of the song. It felt cinematic, like a movie unfolding in real time. Simon's jaw tightened, a single tear slipped down his cheek. The camera caught it. Social media would later explode over that moment, but inside the theater, no one noticed. They were too busy feeling everything. "You can check out anytime you like." The boy's voice softened again, almost a whisper. The lyrics took on a new meaning, about escape, about longing, about searching for a place to belong. For him, it wasn't just a song, it was his life. As the final notes approached, he opened his eyes and looked straight ahead, not at the judges, not at the audience, but somewhere beyond them, somewhere hopeful. He played the last chord. It rang out and faded. Silence. Not a sound, no cheering, no clapping, just stunned, breathless silence. For 3 full seconds the world seemed frozen. Then the theater exploded. The audience jumped to their feet in a thunderous standing ovation. Cheers, cries, applause, everything at once. Some people screamed his name, others wiped their eyes openly. The boy stood there, frozen in shock. His hands dropped to his sides. He hadn't expected this. He hadn't imagined this. Simon Cowell stood up too. He clapped slowly at first, then harder. His face was wet with tears, no attempt to hide them. The boy's lips trembled. His eyes filled as he realized he had been heard, not just listened to, felt. And as the applause continued to roar, Simon looked at the golden buzzer, his hand hovering, his heart already decided.